Have you ever wondered about the best way to monitor your employees? Today's video is all about employee monitoring, what it is, how it works, the pros and cons of using it, as well as how JotForm's tools can assist in implementing it. Hi, I'm Jacqueline from JotForm. We've got a lot to cover today, so we need to get right to it. In your position as a manager, you have strived to hire the best employees, and in general, they are getting the job done. However, as we've transitioned to remote work as a result of the pandemic, managers are now struggling to understand the day-to-day of each employee's work. This leaves managers wondering, can they trust that their employees are remaining productive and that they are working efficiently to get the job done? This leads to the question, is it necessary in the age of remote work to implement some type of employee monitoring? Clearly, there are going to be pros and cons to overseeing your employees' workflow, so let's look into some reasons why you may or may not want to take the next step. Before we continue, what exactly is employee monitoring and why should you use it? As a manager, you likely find yourself both dedicated to your employees while maintaining a responsibility to your position. In many cases, your own manager might ask you to delegate tasks to your employees, but without being present in their average workday, how can you know the amount of work that they are able to take on? Or how can you be certain that they are spending the appropriate amount of time, if any, on the work you have assigned to them? This is an example of where employee monitoring might come into play. Employers use employee monitoring as a form of surveillance to keep track of what their employees are doing while working. It can be used in many ways, but most often, managers use employee monitoring to track things like how much time is spent on a single task, the type of websites employees visit during work hours, and calls employees might make. In the more intrusive cases, employee monitoring might even track an employee's keystrokes. As you can see, employee monitoring can have real benefits as well as some drawbacks. So first, let's look over some of the pros of employee monitoring. One pro of employee monitoring is that it can help engaging workloads. When companies are planning for the year or quarter, either to set goals like sales quotas or stories to be published, it can be useful to have an accurate idea of how much time it takes employees to achieve certain milestones each week. If you find that you're setting higher goals than your employees can reach, implementing employee monitoring can help you to see how much time they are actually putting into a task. If the time being spent seems too long, it may be that they need better training or that you need to hire more employees. Then, having used employee monitoring, when you go to HR stating that you need to hire more people, you can supply them with accurate data on the work that is falling behind. The next pro of employee monitoring is its role in maintaining security. Let's say your team is working on an upcoming blockbuster film, but 2 weeks before it premieres, its twist ending leaks online. This could end up being a huge financial setback for the studio, and it leads you to wonder who is responsible for sharing the information. Through employee monitoring, companies can keep track of their employees' phone and email communications, allowing them to take the necessary action against employees who are breaking contract or doing anything that might put the business into legal trouble. In this way, setting up employee monitoring can protect your company before something happens that could lead to lost time and money. Beyond acting as security for your company, employee monitoring can protect your employees themselves. If your employees feel that they are being assigned too much work, tracking their hours each week can be an effective way to demonstrate their concern to management. As opposed to simply stating that they feel they're doing too much, they can instead say, I spent 50 hours working on reports last week, and I believe my contract states I should only be working 40 hours. Further, monitoring can help an employee if and when they are accused of slacking or doing anything inappropriate on the job. If the employee's hours have been tracked and they can be accounted for through monitoring, there is less room for disputes over productivity. Now that we've seen some of the ways employee monitoring benefits companies and their employees, let's switch over to some cons that you should consider. One con of employee monitoring is that it may raise issues of privacy and affect employee job satisfaction. Some may feel that, despite being legal, employee monitoring is a breach of an employee's right to privacy. Regardless of its legality, it may all come down to a matter of trust and company culture. Companies that pride themselves on their strong company culture find that their employees anticipate a certain level of trust. If employees notice that their managers are observing their every email and phone call, it could lead to a decrease in their level of comfort and overall job satisfaction. A recent study suggests that 76% of companies hesitate to reveal to their employees the full extent of their monitoring because they fear their employees' negative reaction. And even if you do decide that the pros are enough to give employee monitoring a try, it will mean more work for you and your business. For example, if you're using your monitoring system to track your employees' clock in and clock out times, it will usually require manager approval each week before paychecks can be released. Beyond the additional work that employee monitoring would create for management, how will you handle all of the new incoming data? The data you collect through employee monitoring will only be as good as your analysis of it, so you will need some way to make sense of and apply what you observe. Then, if you choose to be honest with employees about what exactly your company will be tracking, you will have to spend time communicating with current employees as well as updating your employment contracts such that new employees can review the monitoring terms upon being hired. As those are just a few of the pros and cons, it is clear there is much to consider before deciding to implement employee monitoring systems into your workplace. Thankfully, if you feel employee monitoring is right for your company, JotForm offers free tools for you to begin keeping track of your employees' productivity. JotForm offers an employee availability form, an employee timesheet and reporting tool, as well as an employee end-of-day report. The employee availability form is a great way for your employees to let you know when they'll be available to work each week. Using the form, you can collect basic info like their name, phone number, department, and title. This form also makes scheduling and employee tracking easier for managers, as it enables you to include start and end time entries for each day of the week. If you're looking to track employee hours and trust your employees to accurately report their time, the Employee Timesheet and Reporting tool is the perfect choice for you. This form assists employees in entering the hours they've worked each week, as well as featuring an option to upload an expense report. It even enables them to report how their week went through a rating scale and provided comment space. Lastly, if you'd like to collect notes from employees as they wrap up their day, try JotForm's Employee End of the Day Report. Using this reporting tool, employees can input their start and end times, the progress they made on their goals, a daily summary, and a rating of their own productivity. The best thing about JotForm's employee tracking tools is that they provide the data you need as a manager, without the potential privacy concerns and increased costs that come alongside more intricate employee monitoring services. Wow, we've learned a lot today, so let's take a moment to review. In this video, we learned what employee monitoring is and why businesses might be incentivized to implement it. We weighed some of the pros and cons of implementing employee monitoring, like the benefit it could have to employees, or how it could negatively affect company culture. And then, we discussed how JotForm's useful tools like the Employee Availability Form, Employee Timesheet and Reporting Tool, and Employee End of the Day Report could allow your company to implement employee monitoring systems without the hassle of increased costs or privacy complaints. I hope you enjoyed our video today, and I wish you the best of luck in trying out any of JotForm's employee tracking tools. Who knows? These tools could end up being a game changer for you and your business. Again, I'm Jacqueline from JotForm, and until next time, I will see you all later.